all happiness and success. Today we have special guest, our expert mindset and executive coach at Leader Inside You, Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Ravi. How are you?
Good. Nice. Thank you for taking time to for this Facebook Live to share your experience with the coaching.
Sure. Happy to be here.
Okay.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Sure. So here is for everyone. Lisa has been coaching for a long time, and she's creating these transformational changes in a lot of coaches. And today we are here to share this of how this coaching can create a major shift or major changes in people's lives. And some of the questions that I mentioned, that what is possible when you do this one-on-one coaching. You might have heard the buzz that people are getting coached nowadays rather than getting trained and rather than getting taught. So what this coaching is about, and the best person to hear about that is the expert person like Lisa, who has been helping a lot of people. So let's get started. The first question, Lisa, I would like our clients, our audience would like to know, and me, I would like to know too. Is it possible? What is, first of all, what is this transformational mindset we keep talking about? What is it? And is it possible by just talking with someone we can create that mindset shift? What do you see?
Well, first, I see it happening all the time with clients.
Mm-hmm.
It's people come to coaching with a certain way of looking at the world, a certain way of looking at themselves. And as we coach together, they start to see new possibilities. They start to see who they are. They understand themselves better. They understand how they show up in the world. And it really impacts how they interact with their coworkers, their family. For example, here's a story of one of my clients. He was recently promoted to a senior management role. And he had never reported directly to the CEO before. He had never had to hire a whole team of people and not only have to hire them, but have them work remotely instead of working in the office. And he wasn't sure how to do this because he was a very analytically driven person versus someone who he felt had a lot of soft skills. And so as we worked together, he started to see just how strong his people skills could be. He just needed to look at it differently. And by looking at it differently, his confidence grew, his ability grew, and he actually became quite respected for that.
Right. Yeah. That's really true, right? In our career, we grow to this point with certain mindset. And for example, for this one, analytical mindset. So we have to change that mindset when we go into leadership positions. Yeah. That's true. And that's what I
Yeah.
see many of our clients at Leader Inside You. They come, they are technical, doing amazing technology work, but when it comes to leadership, you have to have the different kind of mindset. Yeah.
Right. And
Hmm.
it's not, people sometimes think that you're given that as a gift. You're born with people skills or you don't have people skills. And that's not really true. That's not, we all have the possibility to be so many different things, to bring forth so many different skills. It's just that how one person approaches it may be different than how another person approaches it. And the beautiful thing about coaching is that it gets tailored to that particular individual to help that individual grow and excel as fast as they possibly can.
Yeah, totally. And then I also see, right, means that I keep talking about myself and my clients. Mindset is everything. Any you might have all the skills in the world, but if you don't have the right mindset, nothing works, right?
Right. You're
Yeah.
shutting off certain
Mhm.
skills that you could possess if you don't believe that you can have it. If you don't have that mindset of growth, of possibility, of strength,
Mhm.
um, it's almost like cutting off your leg. You're hobbling around when you don't need to be.
Right, true. And these are all this, we hear this in all the motivational videos, or we read in the book, but it doesn't resonate. I have lots of books here, like hundreds of books, but it never came to me. But when you coached me, right? So I remember those, when you coached me, they were like such a transformational thing. Just opening out. So it just reading these books or videos are good, but they don't create a transformation. They are kind of information only.
Yeah, there's something about holding a mirror up to people
Mm-hmm.
because there's things that we're blind to in ourselves. It's just part of
Yeah.
who we are, and we
Yeah.
don't realize what it is. And
Mm-hmm.
when you work with a coach, the coach helps you to become more self-aware and to
Right.
take all that great learning and
Mm-hmm.
apply it. It's a totally different thing to
Mm-hmm.
have knowledge and to apply knowledge,
True.
because when you're applying knowledge, you're creating new neural pathways, you're creating new habits, new mindsets, all of this stuff
Right. Yeah.
that, there's a little bit of the
True.
back and forth, and the coach enables that to happen faster. You
Correct.
might get there eventually, but it certainly
Mm-hmm.
won't happen quickly.
Good.
For
True.
me personally, some of the transformations, it's like, oh my gosh, before
Mm-hmm.
taking up coaching, it's like, this was molasses, like
Right.
moving so slowly. But since I started coaching, it's like, oh my gosh, the
Right.
growth that I've experienced has been
Mm-hmm.
tremendous. And my
True.
clients as well.
Mm-hmm, true, and we see at Leader Inside You also, right? Many of our clients come and they, oh, I read so many books, I attended this webinar, that webinar, nothing changed, or you get inspired from that moment because with books and videos, the motivational speakers are talking, the what do you call it? You can do this, you have the power, but that's their word. In coaching, you must have noticed our clients come and say, I am great, I am awesome, and I can do it. So when it comes from you, then it becomes your thing. If it comes
Yeah.
from this motivational speaker, it's their words. So that's another interesting thing. Yeah, I see happening.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
Go
that's
ahead.
that's the transformation thing. That's the transformation part, and that's why I fell in love with this coaching. Oh my god, this is different. Right? So it is super cool. That once you have this transformational shift, is it possible that in because of this coaching conversation, people start seeing their strengths, which they were hidden, or they start seeing their weaknesses and they can do something about it? What is your experience about weaknesses and strengths about the
Well,
clients?
that's foundational to coaching.
Mm-hmm.
It's foundational to human nature. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
And we often don't know how to address them. Yeah, we get performance reviews and people say, do this, do that. But sometimes it's kind of hard to have an idea sink in.
Mm-hmm.
And when you actually, the strengths as well as the weaknesses, it's
Right.
hard to acknowledge our strengths at times.
Mm-hmm.
And, but when we have someone as a coach that's pointing it out to us and we're seeing it regularly, we're seeing what our strengths are. And then
Uh-huh.
a coach who is very kind, but pointing out, these are ways that you have opportunities to grow. And
Yeah.
how can we approach this in a way that it becomes comfortable for you to address these weaknesses
Mhm.
so that you can transform and these can become a strength of yours? Because as you work on these tiny little things that are holding you back, it's amazing what's possible when you just remove that little barrier.
Yeah, totally. And it's interesting. What I've seen is also probably you saw that too. Some of our clients, their bosses are telling them same thing again and again for 5 years. So, for example, you get to be organized. You get to be organized. You have to be talking in a meeting, but they are not able to implement. But when it's a coaching conversation, it's different. It's not like we are telling them. We are just helping them to see how important that it is. And once they start seeing from their side, then it becomes easy. Oh yeah, I know I should be organized. Okay, just go do it. Right?
Well, and I'll add to that. So,
Hmm.
yes, we help them to understand how important it is, but beyond that, we help them to develop those skills. Because when somebody says you got to be more organized,
Hmm.
if you knew how to
What to
do
do?
it, you would be more organized.
Right.
So the question
What to
becomes,
do?
how do you
Yeah.
actually get organized if you
Correct.
don't know how to do it?
Right.
And the coach, as you say, doesn't tell you what to do. That it's not like there's a cookbook where you say this is what a person does, but you work with the individual and say, okay, how can this individual bring
Hmm.
organization to their work, to their life in a way that's going to be impactful?
Right. And that's where the one-on-one conversation comes in, right? So you have so many books on productivity and so many webinar you can go, but that how do I fit in my life? That's the biggest challenge everybody sees. Like, my
Yeah.
life is different, my kids are different, my husband is different, my wife is different. How do I fit in my life? Or my boss is different, my nature of work is different. And that's where this having that one-on-one conversation opens up to tailor made, which makes it happen. That's
Yeah.
true. And about weaknesses also, right? It's hard for us to accept our weakness, or especially hear about our weaknesses from other people, other human being. But coaching conversation is different when it comes to weakness.
It is because there's such trust that's built in the relationship between the client and the coach. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I have clients that have revealed things to me that they won't share with anyone else because they're scared, they're embarrassed,
Right.
they're things that it's like they don't want to show that part of themselves to the world.
Right.
But if you just try and shove it down and ignore it, you're
Mm-hmm.
not addressing it.
True.
So when
Right.
you can bring it up in a conversation with a coach and you can actually look at it in a safe environment,
Right.
all of a
Yeah.
sudden there's possibilities that weren't there before.
True.
And
Right.
the clients, they just, one of my favorite things is towards the end of a coaching engagement, the clients are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how different I've become. Oh,
I
thank you,
know.
thank you, thank you. You know, it's just, it's like this huge celebration
I
because they've
know.
become who they've always wanted to be.
True, right, and that's really true, right? This especially weakness part. It's very hard for us to open up, and then coaching conversation makes it happen. I see that all the time with my conversation. I meet people very first time, right? You know, in just very first moment, in very first conversation, they open up and they say, "Oh, I never told anybody about this." Say, "Okay," and then feel so relaxed about it because they opened it up. It's kind of a metaphor comes to mind to going to doctor. You know, you even if you are at home, if you have some wound, you won't, and you have the bandit, you wouldn't let your wife open it. Let her touch it, but go to doctor. It'll be nice, gentle. I have that, okay, and then he has to see it, what's happening, and then we can help me to fix it. Same thing happens with coaching, so which is pretty, and then you feel that relaxed thing. So, and then aha moment that clients get.
That's my favorite part. I mean, I love the transformation. The transformation is magical. And to
Mhm.
see every step along the way, you know, it's not like transformation happens,
Mhm.
but there's little transformations that happen every step of the way where the clients start to see, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I can do this. Oh my gosh, I can do this. Like, oh, look at what's
It
possible.
was
And it's just,
awesome.
it's this cumulative process where all of a sudden they're like, I had no idea that I could ever be like this.
Yeah.
And yeah.
No. And that's the that's the gratifying thing for me personally, and for all of us here at Leader Inside You, that we get joy out of seeing what just simple questions, simple powerful question can make a shift into people's minds, and they start seeing their strengths in a bigger way. And that brings to my mind that, okay, it's fine, it's all mindset is there, and you have the strategy and everything, but there is one more biggest problem is actual implementation. Right.
So the way that I found very successful with my clients is
Hmm.
that the transformations don't occur in a vacuum. The
Hmm.
transformations occur as you work towards a goal that's important to you.
Hmm.
And as you're working towards that goal, it becomes the playground for, okay, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? How can I improve my communication? How can I interact with the bosses? How it's really, that is the method that helps people to transform. There's accountability, there's step-by-step
Right.
process, there's breaking it down into something that's, before it seemed like something insurmountable. It's like,
Right.
I don't know where to begin. I don't know how to approach this. And, you know, when you work with a coach, the coach helps you see, okay, what's the starting point? Where can you be successful and how can you build on that?
Right. And accountability is a big part, right? I have to meet Lisa. What is she gonna say? Did I do it?
Yeah, it
And
certainly helps to have, because, as you say, we've all read books, we've all go to
Mhm.
webinars, we all have this learning, but there's a little bit more incentive when you know
Uh-huh.
you've got to report to
Right.
someone and
Yeah.
say, okay, this is what I've accomplished, and this is what I've accomplished in this amount of time, and you want
Yeah.
to look good. So,
Right. And many times it's between zero versus infinity. I mean, it's like it happens or doesn't happen. If you don't have anybody to accountable, like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it after 1 week, or never. And many times it never happens. So and so it is the best part of the coaching that I found by working. I have my own coaches and the new coach me. So I found it that part super useful. We can have all this mindset, we can all the technology, all the skills, but if I'm not doing it, what's the point?
well, and
So
to me, it almost loops back to the accountability does two things. So the
hmm
accountability not only gets you doing it, but because you're doing it, you
hmm
develop skills and you develop an ability and you develop almost a habit that
hmm
then becomes sustainable over time.
yeah,
And that's how I see it really helping. It's like, okay, I've gotten into a habit of being accountable. I've gotten into a habit of, performing at this level on an ongoing basis.
right, totally. But this coaching is awesome and everything, but I don't think it works for everybody.
You have to, this is not a magic wand.
hmm
Coaching is not a magic wand. Coaching requires work on the part of the coachee.
hmm
If the client comes in with an attitude of, I'm going to do this, I'm committed, I am ready to do this work,
hmm
it is magical what can happen.
yeah.
But if
Mm.
they are expecting that they'll come into the program and it's just going to happen to them, then it's
hmm
almost like taking a course or reading a book. That's not how it works. They
Right.
have to be willing to do the work, and
hmm
then it's remarkable what's possible.
Totally. And there's the element of this being coachable also, right?
Yeah,
You have to be, I mean, find the people who are coachable, they are a lot more successful.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And being coachable, I've heard different definitions. I'll be curious as to what yours. The one that works for me is
hmm
um, that they're willing to listen.
hmm
They're not defensive. They're not trying to stay stuck where they are, but they're coming in with a desire to learn and to grow
hmm
and to explore, go into those territories that are a little uncomfortable,
right.
places that they haven't been willing to go before.
Totally right. Yeah, and then that's one of the big quality nowadays corporates look for when they are hiring people. Is this person is coachable? Coachable mean if the person is coachable, it means you can coach this person and make the best out of this. We can grow this person, make his strengths bigger, and then we can make good use of everything there. And if you are not coachable, then companies kind of at lost that. So they are definitely big companies are looking for coachability, and in this process of coaching, you become a little more coachable too. You start noticing, okay, I should be listening to Lisa, or I should be being open to her, or I should be maybe responsive to the ideas that she's saying, or think ready to think in different way. So be ready to explore this thing. So that conversation happens, and then I see an interesting thing happening too. Flip side becomes true too. It's when my clients come, you must have noticed too, they become coach in some way. They start coaching their kids, they start coaching their colleagues rather than teaching them. So, which is win-win for everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost like we've done a 360. We've gone right back to the mindset because the
hmm
mindset, being coachable is a mindset.
Yeah.
Coaching is a mindset. It's how do
Totally.
you bring forth the best in an individual
hmm
and help them to find their own solutions instead of saying, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
But when a person figures out how they do these things, if
hmm
they learn how to learn,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
then they're set up.
Totally. And then you have that sense of support. oh, there is someone there to help me, guide me, mentor me, who is totally with me. If you have a friend, if you have a boss, if it's skip level, who they have their own agenda. Even if your friend is giving you advice, he loves you and he wants to help you, but there is always some agenda, right? So whatever, like he might be thinking good of himself, or he wants to help you, everything is good. But coach is like very neutral, it's totally for you, thinking for only from your point of view, not for your company, not from your other anybody else. So that puts so much comfort in opening it with the coach, so which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and then from coach point of view, that becomes easy for us also, right? To give the suggestions or advice or everything, because we are going with that authentic heart of this is only for your goodness, it's nothing for me. so,
Right.
so,
Yeah.
so
It's one
that's
of the things that I love about coaching too. I've always wanted to remove the barriers that prevent people from reaching their potential since I was in high school. And there's
Mhm.
all different ways you can donate money, you can, be a project manager and find the problems and all that kind of stuff. But
Right.
this to me, coaching, when you help people just bring out the best in themselves, the ripple effects in the
Hmm.
world and the ability, how they show up differently in their family and at work and with their friends. And it starts to impact those relationships as well in a very positive way.
Yeah, nice. Wonderful. You nicely summarized it. I really liked it. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing all this um, power of coaching that is available for everybody to have it.
I
Wonderful.
love talking about it, as you might be able to tell. So
Sure, of course.
thank you.
Great. So here's everyone. Thank you everyone for being with us and watching this video. I hope you are inspired to take some bigger action. I hope you are inspired to find bigger possibilities for you, bigger positions or bigger money. And it's not just about bigger position or money. It's about what you become in the process. So right now, if you are making say $100,000, and if somebody willing to give you $300,000, of course you're going to get money, but beyond that, that you will have to create that transformation in you. You will be becoming three times more valuable in your mindset, your skill set, your strengths, and actual taking actions and all those things. So beauty is there, that you are changing yourself from $100,000 person of value to 300,000 or 400 or half a million, whatever your goal is. So that's where this transformation happens, and this is coaching comes in. It's the fastest way of doing it. So if you are inspired by this, there is a link for our webinar of five steps to achieve high position. So watch that webinar, and once you watch that webinar, if that resonates with you, you have to watch all the way to 50 minutes. And if it resonates with you, you stick with the webinar all the way to the end. You will get an opportunity to have a free call with us, and then we will talk about where you are, where you want to go, and we'll give you that customized strategy, and see where you can take your career. It's very possible that you can take your career to way more higher level that you think right now is possible. So do watch that webinar, and we are looking forward to seeing you, talking with you one on one someday. And thank you, Lisa, again for joining us today.
Thank you,
And
Ravi. This is
yeah,
fun.
yeah, great. It was fun talking with you. You have such an amazing energy and enthusiasm. Great. So hope to see
You
you
as
again.
well. I have so much respect for you. You make such a difference in the world and helping so many people also. It's a mutual love fest here.
Oh, great. Totally. It's a fun thing about working as leader inside you. So we are so energizing each other.
Mhm.
So wonderful. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I will see you again in some time in next Facebook Live, maybe next week. And until then, wishing you all happiness and success.